This brother, last Monday, a black homeless man, 30-year-old black man named Jordan Neely, was on the F train. He was on, I think it's New York, Manhattan, right? So he's on the subway, Sonia, and apparently he, of course, it's come out that this brother had mental illness issues and things he had going on. So apparently he was saying that he was hungry and he needed to eat and he didn't care, being a little irate, like on the subway, right? So being a little irate, from what I'm reading, he may have been making threats to people, right? Haven't heard anything about him being violent himself, like him actually putting his hands on someone. So after that takes place, so he's on the subway acting this way. So a 24-year-old, and I'm gonna get his name real quick here. He puts him in a chokehold, Sonia. Daniel Penny is the young man's name. He puts him in a chokehold, right? So he puts him in a chokehold, and if you watch the video, because I'm aware that a lot can happen before I see a video and after it, as far as the clip that I view. But on the clip that I seen, it looked pretty bad how they were holding him down, and the fact that he held him down for 15 minutes. You know, how do you feel about that, Sonia? Because yes, this is a black man, right? So some people are looking at this and saying, hey, is this a racist white man? Like, what was he intent? Was he like just a hero, a vigilante? What was his intent behind doing this? So when you look at something like this, seeing that that's a brother who is struggling through mental illness, what do you think?
So first thing, I always say when race comes into the topic of the conversation is people can be well-intended white folks and still uplift and hold on to racist tendencies and racist norms. As a matter of fact, I've said on our platform, having these conversations, even us as black folks uphold racist tendencies, white supremacy normals, right? And so I don't care if somebody doesn't, he comes back and say, but I didn't do it because he was black. The fact of the matter that you walk in white privilege is a racist white supremacist norm, because you know you can get away with, because you think that you're defusing a situation because this black man is being a nuisance. Now, this is also what I discovered after doing a little bit of research on this young man. Not only was he unhoused, not only was he hungry, he's a veteran. And so yeah. And so when we talk about veterans in particular, I think about my father, who is a Vietnam vet, and he tells the story of one of his brothers. My dad got a cushy military job at the Navy. He guarded a port, and he saw no action the entire time he was there. But his brother jumped out of fighter planes and saw all the action. And if you were to ask him about that action, it sends him into an emotional, mental meltdown immediately. And so we don't know what war, when you see someone else who you're trained with die right in front of you, and maybe you could have prevented it, or you see the enemy pointing guns at you, and the only option you have, even though you value life, is to take their life, right? So we don't know what that looks like. Now, going back to the young white man, bless his heart, who thought he was doing something. This man had not touched anybody. And I don't give a damn what he said. You could have been on guard to protect somebody who got touched without touching this man. This man should 100,000% be alive today. There's no, like, who gives you permission to touch somebody?
Yeah.
Now, it would be a different conversation had he touched somebody, but he didn't. And so let's have that conversation about what white privilege allows for white men in particular to get away with. And I saw in the video 2 other white men. One was holding his hands down while the man was being choked out for 15 minutes. Like, no. So you're guilty too. I just want all 3 of those white men to know, if I'm an attorney, I'm coming for you. If I'm law enforcement, I'm coming for you. You were culpable in the crime that resulted in someone's death, which was murder.
Very true. And the autopsy revealed homicide as the cause of death, him being choked to death, right? So for one, he's choking him for 15 minutes. 2, we don't know the temperament of this young white man. But like you said, the society will make him believe what he did was okay because he was hella goddamn comfortable. And we got to keep it real. He was in the Marines. I was reading a little bit about his bio. He seems like he's an adrenaline junkie a little bit. He seems like he's the kind of white guy that wants to take it there, that wants to say, yeah, I'll fucking do it. Right. You know what I mean? In those type of situations. But something should happen, because to me, his lawyer came out and said, he didn't mean to hurt him. He was trying to protect people. That's bullshit. The way he casually put that man in a chokehold for 15 minutes in a chokehold is an extremely long time. Manslaughter minimum, but he needs to go to jail. And it's funny, Sonia, because when you said something a few minutes ago that really resonated with me, because I don't know of Black people doing things of this manner, right? So to say like his privilege gave him all the courage he needed, because I've seen Black folks step in to stop something from happening. But chokehold for 15 minutes, you was trying to do something else. And him being a Marine, everything he had to go through being there, he was trained. It's very well he could have knew what the fuck he was doing. Absolutely. So that's dangerous, but there definitely should be some jail time, Sonia.
It's so ironic also that this is the state of New York where Eric Garner was murdered by a chokehold by a police officer. And the chokehold is now banned in the state of New York by law enforcement. And now chokeholds are being looked at across this nation for an ex-Marine to then use a chokehold, and you're a civilian. These are the... Let me take a deep breath, because it bugs me. Like, we have to begin to connect the dots on where one, privilege lies, but two, like, where does power, like, that there's okay, so New York is not a like Florida, where you got to stand your ground. You don't got that kind of rights.
California, exactly. Much more strenuous, yes.
Right. And so I would hope that the district attorney there, the attorney general for the state of New York, is looking at this case and beginning to not just examine vigilante violence and murder, but this goes also hand in hand with gun violence, right? Mm-hmm. Because this little white boy, I'm sorry, and I don't mean to bash the entire white race. This little white boy knew what he was doing. And I'm gonna stand on that. I said what I said. He knew what he was doing to a certain degree, and I don't care about the adrenaline rush. Those are the officers who show up on the scene and they shoot first and ask questions.
That's what I was thinking about. What I seen, his bio in the kind of white man he was. I said, you know what? This sounds like some police officer shit. You think you got the right to put him in a chokehold? You think it's up to you because. Subduing him, because let's think about it. If you're militarily trained and you are skilled, you can subdue somebody without hurting them if you wanted to. You can sit him down. You can do a little move to him to make sure he don't move no more. But if he's not actually putting his hands on somebody, you shouldn't touch him. But this is showing your privilege in America. And again, the court system and the justice system in this country always has an opportunity to set a precedent.
Yes.
And this is one of those opportunities. He should definitely be charged with manslaughter. A couple of articles I was reading was going over his heroism in the Marines. It was kind of painting him as a kind of a war hero. He went back twice. He didn't won all these awards.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah. That means he was gung-ho to put a gun in his hand. He was gung-ho to do all of the things and be trained properly. He was gung-ho. He probably passed all the guns, ammunition tests very quickly. He was gung-ho to do extra. And those individuals who are gung-ho to do extra are the ones who always go overboard, because rationale doesn't kick in. This is about the physicality of the job. This isn't about the mental capacity and compassion and empathy for individuals. Like I tell all police officers, as I do my activism work all the time, call some grandmas out of their houses to calm down some of these kids in the street. Because I know that when school lets out, and if it was a fight going on, there has never been a fight that I've witnessed between kids that I could not stop. So
True.
because I
Yeah.
have compassion.